Now, university students may face another blow to their learning, with their lecturers threatening enormous disruption through strikes that could last until the new year. It's all part of an ongoing dispute between the University and College Union and university employers. The union is threatening strike action over pay, working conditions and their pensions.
Well, let's discuss this. Chris McGovern, chairman of the Campaign for Real Education, joins us. Chris, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Right. When we mentioned this yesterday, the emails went mad, and it was mostly parents saying their children had not had a proper education for a year, that many lecturers even now were still refusing to talk to them face to face, and now they have their sheer gall to say they want to go on strike.
Yeah, look, as a former member of the TUC myself, I have some sympathy for these university lecturers. I think they have got quite a tough time, but I have a lot more sympathy for the young people who've had 18 months or so of semi-lockdown, at least, online teaching. And it's their futures that are at stake here. The lecturers may have a case, and they should discuss that without damaging the interests of the young people. These people only get one chance. These youngsters get one chance. They're going to be leaving university. Many of them are going to be underemployed and even unemployed. And they're going to have huge debts. The £50,000 debts are hanging over their head, but they're probably never going to pay off. So it's a big cost for the taxpayer in the long term. So it's a pretty catastrophic situation. And meanwhile, by the way, just to rub salt into the wounds, as far as those lecturers are concerned, the vice-chancellors are acting like pigs with snouts in the trough. They're getting salaries up to £500,000. So I have some sympathy for the lecturers, but it's not the way to go about it, harming, damaging the prospects of young people. So I'm as appalled as those parents are appalled. We've got to put the young people first. Yes, there's a case for these lecturers. Argue it and fight it. But we're living in difficult times. The money isn't there. And by the way, we've got far too many universities. We could probably cut them by 50%, and there'd be a bit more money to go around then. So it's quite a complicated task. But leave the young people out of it. Look after their futures. That's my message to the unions.
OK, so what would your advice be to the unions of how those lecturers could engineer some kind of change without hurting students?
Well, first of all, my advice to them is not to go on strike, because they're going to lose, just practically from a point of view of a unionist, that they are going to lose the support of many, many students. They're going to lose the support of parents. They're going to lose the support of the general public. When you start harming children, putting children on the front line, you do your cause no good at all. They have got a case. There's no question about that their pension pot is no longer as good as it looks. But they need to face up to reality. The reality is the universities themselves are short of cash. They can't afford to be paying the staff the sorts of incomes and the sorts of pensions which the staff they say they deserve. We're all suffering in this economic climate, and the universities have to take a hit too. Many people are suffering, and my own view would be to the government is look again at universities. We've got far too many youngsters going to university. They're leaving university and underemployed, and we don't need them to be at university. What we need is for these young people to go into training, into apprenticeships, into vocational courses. So if I was in charge of this, I would probably reduce the universities to 50% of what they are now. Those that are left, I would convert it back into polytechnics so that they were practical. And I would make sure the universities were offering more to the economy than unemployed or underemployed graduates who we don't need them. We need more people who have practical skills. Get a plumber, an electrician, a hairdresser, a beautician. You can't find these people so readily. So we've got to look at the whole business of higher education. We do need graduates. Of course, we need graduates from good universities who are academic. But too many youngsters are being persuaded to go to university. We have university tutors, admissions tutors, acting like wide boys in a country market store, bringing these students in, putting them on courses, then not giving them the tuition which they deserve, and then giving them a load of debt at the end, and then they're underemployed. It is a national scandal. So my advice to the unions is, look at the picture more broadly. You've got a case, but it's going to be quite painful for everybody. And by the way, there are far too many lecturers, and we've got to cut that number so much. We've got to look at the whole business of higher education. So big problem for the new education secretary, and not one I'm sure he'll be able to solve.
Chris, whenever you're on, I can hear the cheering around the nation to much what you say. But if I was a student who's just paid more than £9,000 for a non-existent tuition, plus the rental on a flat that I haven't been able to live in, I'd be thinking, I want my money back. And that could backfire on the lecturers who want more.
It backfire on the lecturers, backfire on the universities. I mean, look, not only are we talking about the financial problems, the mental health problems of many of these youngsters, they feel let down. There have been a number of surveys which show that many students, up to half, are really quite discontent with the quality of the courses which they're on. And they feel they've been let down. And yes, in the long term, if this goes on and there are strikes, the people who will suffer most of all will be the lecturers, because they're going to find there simply won't be the students, there won't be the money, and they're going to lose their jobs. So we need to look at the picture more broadly. And look, many of these lecturers are incredibly hard working. I don't want to do them down. They try their best, and they're, generally speaking, have been doing quite a good job. Our higher education system has a good reputation around the world. But we've got a situation now where, no, it shouldn't be going on strike. Look at the broader picture. The money isn't there. There are too many of you, and we've got to put the students first. So, yeah, it's depressing for the students, and that they should come first. It's like, I taught in schools for 35 years, and in my view, the children come first. That's the priority. What's in the best interest of young people? And in this case, it is not the university lecturers going on strike. So, a bit of a tragedy, really, for our younger generation. And we need to have some action, and we need to have action by the unions themselves. Put the young people first. They're our future.
Talking about putting the young people first, if you are one of those extremely disgruntled and maybe quite angry students, what advice do you have for them individually?
Well, I think young people of all the people involved in this dispute have the most influence, because they will talk. They need to talk to their lecturers. They need to stop perhaps the protesting outside government buildings or outside Parliament, but go and talk to the lecturers, explain to the lecturers how they're being affected, because ultimately it's the lecturers who've got to make the decisions about strike. And look, many lecturers won't vote for strike. And if you look at the figures last time there was a vote on this, it's only about a third, maybe slightly less, actually voting for full action over pensions and pay. The young people need to address their teachers. I mean, these teachers are people. They have children themselves. They care for their young people. The young people need to address their concerns to the lecturers, not to the government, who actually haven't got the money, not to the university authorities even. They've got to talk to the lecturers, and they've got to persuade the lecturers, look, if you go on strike, you're damaging our future. These lecturers, most of them anyway, do have an interest in the students' future, and many of them will be reluctant to go on strike. So it's a very difficult situation, but my advice to the students is talk, first of all, to your teachers, because they've got a conscience too about this.
What do you say to Dan, who's just texted in, who says, I can't think of a less worthy cause than university lecturers. Best regards, Dan.
Yeah, well, look, that's one point of view, and I think there are many people in this country who are suffering and who have suffered a great deal during the pandemic, and I can understand why people will say the university lecturers come, the bottom of the pile, if you like, in that sense, in sense of a deserving course. But we have a very good education system, higher education system in this country, one of the best in the world. The fact is, it's overpopulated with lecturers, it's overpopulated with universities. So we shouldn't run our education system down in that sense. That we've got a great education system for able academic students. The problem is we've expanded it too rapidly. Tony Blair it was who wanted 50% of youngsters to go into higher education. That's ridiculous. We don't need that. We need people to go to university who need to be there because they're academic. We need other youngsters to be going into polytechnics or training colleges or apprenticeships. So what I would say to Dan is, look, don't damn the whole profession, if you like. There's good and bad. Life isn't as simple as all of that. How easy life would be if we could just say the other side are all bad. It isn't like that in reality. There are some very good people on the other side of this debate too.
Yeah. Do you see the irony of this? Of course, Tony Blair's son, who's now outguns him on the financial pages, I think, because he's made a fortune putting people who should be going to university into vocational courses.
I think he's been reading the Campaign for Real Education newsletters. Yeah, that's great. I totally applaud that. And I think Ewan Blair's done a great job. He's in conflict with his father on this. No, he deserves some applause for this, because Ewan Blair is right. Some youngsters need to go and study academically at universities. Many, many others need to be doing vocational courses. And so, yeah, 3 cheers for Blair.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.